Hey, it's the Direct Response Playbook. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum, founder of Campaign Refinery, joined today with.
David Cardilano from Wealthy Inbox.
All right, good to have you here, David. This is going to be a quick one today because people sometimes wonder about email cliches, right? Cliches in life are kind of dull. They're sort of like the dad jokes of the internet, as far as I'm concerned, in the email world. But let's just kind of run through what are some cliches that are identifiable that you should avoid, and what are some that are actually fine because they sort of are like a warm, snuggly blanket that people expect to see on an email, and it makes them feel like everything is right in the world. So let's start with some cliches that you like to cut against the grain on, that you see within emails. I know a lot of them are greetings, some of them are sign-offs, but
Oh man.
what do you got?
I think my number one that I want to roast and flame until it's a charred piece of disintegrated hamburger meat is saying greetings in the beginning of the email. No one says greetings in real life. If I went to a dinner party and someone said greetings, I'm like, that person's a serial killer. No one talks like that. I don't like that. That's weird. So
I feel like your litmus test in life is a lot of like, what would I say at a dinner party? By the way, I've
yeah.
noticed in a lot of our videos, you're really like, yeah, I agree with it. It's not a bad strategy, but it's like, if I said this at a dinner party, would I be the weirdo in the corner, or would I be like, this guy's neat, we should probably hang out with him?
Yeah. I mean, we talk about like entrepreneurs are always like, your network is your net worth. It's like, okay, well, if you were standing in a room, how would you act? How would you treat people? Would you treat them like they're people, or would you say greetings and freak people out? Email etiquette is just human etiquette through an electronic form, right? So I guess that's why the analogy just keeps coming up.
So
So
the
yeah,
cliche test is the same of a is it weird test.
yes, exactly. So if you do have some form of, social skills, this should be an obvious thing to you, but we still want to go through and hit this list. So greetings is my number one pet peeve. Travis, what's yours?
Um, I think sometimes when people are trying to get too cute, when it's like howdy, or it's the same thing every time. I tend to like to things that are a little bit more of the snuggly blanket, the like sort of blend between semi-professional with a touch of casual nature to it. I think it's more of a tone thing for me to avoid cliches. So, like for example, like a lot of our emails are, hey there is how we usually start with it because that's how I actually talk to someone in real life. If I was
Yeah.
at a conference and I saw you, I'd be like, hey David, or hey there, like what's up? How's it going? How's life treating you, right? And so, yeah, it can be a bit of a cliche, but those are ones that I think are more generally acceptable because they're not grating, they're not irritating, they don't make you feel one way or another per se. It's just kind of a pleasantry, a
Right.
straightforwardness. Whereas if you try to get too cute with it, sometimes that works for branding, but it's just kind of not my cup of tea. And maybe that's part of the branding of an email or something, right? Like a specific newsletter. Maybe it's that's the tone they want to pick. But I know that for me, those kind of
Sure.
cliches are not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Another one is deer, not like deer with antlers, but dear blank. And then they continue the email. I think that that's really strange unless you have an older demographic, like a much older demographic. So if I have a newsletter that's catered toward women above the age of 50 and it's like grandmothers, then you better believe I'm going to start an email with dear reader, dear blank. It's more comforting. It's more toward the language of what they're used to. So
More formal for
obviously
sure,
pick
which
and
is probably how
choose.
they grew up. Yeah, more formal.
Right, right. But anybody else, dear, you're not writing a letter. Like this ain't like quill and ink times. Like hey, hi. That's fine. Even at the bottom of the emails, I know some people will write best regards, kind regards. I don't know. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm like kind regards. I'm like, you don't even know me. But if someone just says best, cool. I end my emails with best. And by the way, that goes for personal emails. That goes for mailing lists. Just don't think about it too much. What would you say to somebody if you're meeting them in a dinner party and you have to leave? It's like, hey, great meeting you. Bye. You wouldn't say best in real life, but just keep it simple. Keep it short.
Yeah.
Don't be cute.
That, and then what are your thoughts on cliches like in the body of the email. So, you know,
Mm.
like old tropes that you pull out. Because I think that using analogies is a really powerful storytelling tool. But I do think that sometimes you can fall back on really obvious ones that people are like, the groaners, like I said, the dad jokes of the email universe. It's like if I read it, I'm like, oh, this again,
Oh my God.
that to
Yeah.
me is a cliche that takes the air out of the power that is metaphoric storytelling. So, do you have any examples that maybe come to mind for you on that?
Easy. Just checking in. No, you're not. All right. Just checking in.
Bumping into the top,
Circling back.
bumping us out.
Looping you in. Did you read my last email? Like any updates, any change, like just have a conversation. Those are polite ways of saying, hey, I still want you to buy my shit. Why haven't you done it yet? And people know that. People know that you're not just checking in for that reason. So just be more blunt, just be more honest. I like to follow Josh Braun. He's a great B2B sales guy that actually talks and acts like, a human. And his stuff is really great. So if this is a little confusing, I would definitely go check out his stuff because the way he speaks in sales conversations, especially when it's like you want something from somebody, usually money, it's just incredible. Yeah. So all of the cliches, like just circling back, just wanted to update you. Just if you have to say just in front of it, stop. Take that statement out and chop it up with an axe and never use it again, ever.
I would say another one is to think about the tone that it may send. An example is as per my last email.
Yeah. Oh my
Like
gosh.
that could be technically considered a cliche because a lot of people do use it. But there's a an air of sting and backhanded and sass that come like is
Yeah.
totally associated with that kind of cliche. And so there's groaners, you got, ones that may are off-putting, ones that are clearly, trying to hide an intent. Like you said, they're trying to get you to buy something again, or they are prioritizing themselves with the cliche. All these things matter, and they can work your way. They're the essentially filler words of email to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent. You're putting them in because they're a placeholder. You feel you need an intro, you need an outro, you need something to metaphoric storytelling. But the unfortunate part is when it's the same trope people have seen repeatedly, or the context is weird. You not only remove the power of what that portion of the email can do, but you actually are removing credibility. You're removing from the experience. You're withdrawing from that bank account in a negative way. You'd be better off saying nothing, doing a cold drop into the email. Something like a SNL, cold monologue or whatever they call them, cold open. Yeah, there we go, cold open.
Yeah.
You'd be better off than using some old trope that is boring and dull.
Absolutely. And can I add in some subject line
Yeah, yeah,
cliches that I
please.
absolutely that are terrible? Don't be the guy or gal or in between or neither that puts re in the subject line just to try and get more opens. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. Or forward when you're not actually forwarding or replying to an email. Look, I will be first to admit that I remember doing that. This was back in my biz op days when I was young and stupid and didn't know any better. And don't do that. Don't do that. That's a cliche. And if you send that sort of thing to somebody and, if you are doing a cold email and you start it with re and you've never emailed them before, immediately I'm like, oh, I can't trust this person. They're going to lie in a subject line. They're going to lie to me. No way. So don't do that. Don't do that. Write a better subject line. There's ChatGPT and Claude, and they're incredible at writing subject lines without pulling any of that like gammy, gimmicky, cliche shit that I still see people do to this day. So
Yeah.
that's some subject line stuff that I think is really important. Don't try and act like an email provider.
For sure. Well, on that note, hopefully that covers some of the things to avoid and some creative ideas about how to do better. If you want to, find an email tool that can help you do it, and when you're doing it right, because we only want good senders that are understanding email and not trying to trick their users, check out campaignrefinery.com. We also have a blog post about actual written out examples of good cliches, bad cliches, and some examples on how and when to use the good ones. And if you want to learn more about newsletters and how to scale them, acquire them, and grow them successfully, probably, David's your dude. So David, why don't you tell them about where they can do more about that?
Yeah, you can find more info at wealthyinbox.news to sign up for my newsletter on how to sell your newsletter.
Not using boring cliches.
Not using boring cliches. No, thank you.
Cool. Well, if you liked what we talked about today, hit us with a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. The algorithm appreciates it the most. And if you want to learn more about email marketing and digital marketing in general, check out more of Direct Response Playbook by hitting the subscribe button down below. Till next time, talk soon.